Gerard, Sonora Gaia, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, it's my pleasure to be here tonight to regale you with some history. Winston Churchill said in the 1948 speech in the House of Commons that those who fail to learn from history are condemned to repeat it. Archbishop Desmond Tutu of South Africa said, and I think it's really good, we learn from history that we don't learn from history. Trying to condense 62 years of history into two 15-minute segments was my challenge. And to make it interesting for all of you who are Toastmasters and make it interesting for people who are visiting with the perhaps intention of joining Toastmasters. So I hope my brief history of Toastmasters in Ireland will give you a greater understanding of where we, the current Toastmasters, have come from and how we got here. I thank the countless number of people who, by giving of their time, energies, and commitment, made this possible. Thank you all. I will deal with each decade in turn. In the first section tonight, I'll deal with major events from 1958 to the 1980s, and in the second section from 1990 to the present day. So back to the 50s. The District 18 Governor Ian D. McIntyre presented Charter number 2601 to Paddy Cunningham, President of Dublin Toastmasters Club, at a charter dinner in the Royal Hibernian Hotel, attended by over 70 guests on the 12th of April, 1958. Among the guests were the Lord Mayor of Dublin, Councillor James Carroll, and the American Ambassador to Ireland, Mr. Scott MacLeod, no less. And so, the Dublin Club became the first Toastmasters Club chartered in Ireland. But earlier, the District Governor McIntyre of Scott had caused a major stir when he wrote to the club as follows, I quote, "The charter dinner is usually treated as a social occasion, distinct from any regular meetings. Some clubs encourage members to bring along friends, and in brackets, in some instances, including the ladies." Shock, horror, consternation. I could fill the rest half an hour telling you what all that happened to get that sorted out, but it's not sufficient time to do that. But suffice to say that after a lot of correspondence between the club and the Toastmasters International, women became members of the club. To say that after a lot of correspondence between the club and the Toastmasters International, women became members of the club. To say that after a lot of correspondence between the club and the Toastmasters International, women became members of the club. To say that after a lot of correspondence between the club and the Toastmasters International, women became members of the club. Don't know how that happened. Don't know how that happened, but it happens. Women became members of the club. Did you get the bit about the ladies? You did? Don't know how that happened, but it happens. About the district governor writing to the club.
It was only about the last 30 seconds, Ted, that it went off.
All right, okay. All right, so I met Paddy Cunningham once. He visited the Fingal Club. His daughter, Lisa, is currently a member of the Dublin Club. Has been for years. And so she gave me the treasure trove of documents from which I wrote the history all the way from 1935 in Great Britain. But in 1958, there were just 80 clubs in the United Kingdom, mostly in Scotland. We turn now to the 1960s. But by then, there were 3,600 Toastmasters clubs in 45 countries around the world, 123 in Scotland and England, and 5 in Ireland, with a total membership worldwide of 3,000 or so the Dublin Club in 1958 was followed by the Ablana Club in 1960, Strabane, which you won't hear about again, 1962, Hellfire in 1963, and the first edition of Belfast in 1963. The Cork Club followed in 1967, followed by Engineers in 1969. 6 of the originals are still here today. Belfast for the 3rd time. The first national speech contest was held in the old Jury's Hotel on May the 11th, 1963, with a contestant from each of the 4 clubs. Now was the winner an O'Brien, O'Neill, a Murphy, Gallagher? No. His name was Boselia Mosiaman, And he was from Batusaland. How he ever got to be a member of Ablana and went on to win the first national speech contest is a mystery to me. Anyway, however, the decade wasn't very old when there were rumblings of discontent from Scotland. The first signs of texted my term Toastmasters International exit became apparent in 1962 when the district was downgraded to the Territorial Council of the British Isles, or TCBI. I call it texted because it was the original Brexit idea. This was a major change because normally a small number of clubs form in a country. For example, if a small number formed in Brazil a few years ago, that's Brazil, the country, and then they grew into a council, and now they're a district 111, but they still have a very small number of clubs. But in Scotland, they started off as a district and they went downwards. And then after they were a council, they drew up its own constitution and bylaws, and they refused any new clubs in Ireland because our existing clubs had women members, even if they were not members of Toastmasters International. So as late as 1969, 11 years after the chartering of the Dublin Club, the Territorial Council was still a cold house for Irish clubs. Then came the decision that changed everything. In 1969, the board of directors decided that the territorial clubs should operate on the same basis as the other clubs worldwide, that the clubs in Britain and Ireland come under the direct administration from the world headquarters, and that the territory structure be disbanded in favor of the district structure, and that Toastmasters in Territory Number 1 pay the same dues as members elsewhere. This was the straw that broke the back. I can't leave those 60s without mentioning an article in the April 1963 magazine, the British Toastmasters. They had their own magazine where there's a reference to Toastmasters International. Now, this was a separate organization catering for women, as women weren't formally admitted as members to Toastmasters until 1973. The event was the finals of the speech contest organized by Council Number 1 of Toastmasters International. The piece reads, "In extending our congratulations to these ladies, we also pass on the suggestion of Mr. McLaren, a visiting judge from Toastmasters, that Toastmasters clubs might, wherever possible, arrange joint meetings with Toastmasters clubs. As he puts it, the ladies' criticism is perceptive and penetrating, drawing freely from their native intuition of man's weaknesses." I suppose it's too late to sue the guy, is it, for taking our character like that? But I think it's very funny. So right, on to the 70s. So the inevitable finally happened on December the 31st, 1971, when about 120 clubs, mostly in Scotland, broke away from Toastmasters and formed a new organization named the Association of Speakers Clubs. Left behind were just 31 clubs, 21 in England, 7 in Ireland, and 3 in Scotland. Strabane and Belfast had thrown their lot in with the Scots. Reasons for leaving was largely due to the increase in the annual subscription from $2 over 4 years to $8. Events then happened in quick succession. The Irish clubs very quickly formally committed to Toastmasters as early as January the 30th, 1972, much to the delight of TI. It was an easy decision, as they had not been made welcome in the Territorial Council of the British Isles because of the club's women members, as I mentioned earlier. But a man called Gaylord Giles, a former district governor in Oklahoma, and now working on an American military base in England, quickly formed an executive committee and brought the remaining British and Irish clubs together. He had the knowledge and the experience from his previous Toastmasters service and the diplomatic skills to achieve this. Next, a letter from Toastmasters International stating that at its March 1972 meeting, the board of directors of Toastmasters International granted exception to the standard membership criteria for the 3 Irish clubs that traditionally had open membership. Now, this is a very interesting letter for many reasons. Firstly, the board granted an exception to the standard membership for the 3 Dublin clubs, i.e. Dublin, Ablana and Hellfire, and by doing so accepted for the first time officially that these clubs had women members from the day they were established. When Paddy Cunningham had sought permission from the Territorial Council to start a fourth club in Dublin, he was turned down until the Dublin clubs conformed to the Toastmasters constitution of men-only clubs. So at the Toastmaster Board meeting in August 1972, District 71 was granted provisional district status. We were under the TI umbrella again. 17 months after that letter, the Toastmasters delegates voted at the International Convention in Houston, Texas in August 1973 to change the constitution of Toastmasters International and permit women to join officially for the first time. Today, over half the members worldwide are women. And so District 71 took its first hesitant steps. There was very little growth in the 70s, although the Blarney, Clonakilty, Waterford, Dunleary and Ennis clubs were chartered in Ireland. Overall, the number of clubs in the district declined to 20, with 10 in Ireland and 10 in England. In this decade, therefore, the number of clubs, despite the addition of new clubs, had more or less halved. The number of clubs in Ireland doubled, in England halved, and the 3 Scottish clubs disappeared completely. So a very eventful decade came to a close. The new district was down but not out. The 80s will see a very gradual increase in clubs and numbers, so by the time we get to the 90s, the district stabilized. So things did improve a little in the 80s. 15 new clubs in Ireland and 9 in England were chartered in the decade. Club numbers in Ireland grew from 10 in 1980 to 29 in 1990. Numbers of new clubs chartered each year ranged from none in 1982 to what was then a remarkable 5 in 1985. Of the 21 clubs in England in 1972, only 6 had survived, while the 3 clubs in Scotland disappeared. However, in Ireland, of the 7 clubs in 1972, 6 were still there 15 years later. These were the bedrock on which new clubs grew in the 2 largest Irish cities, i.e. Dublin and Cork, and eventually spread to their hinterlands. Accordingly, by 1987, the club balance had swung entirely from England to Ireland. In 1972, at the formation of the district, the numbers were UK 24, Ireland 7. By 1987, the numbers were Ireland 24, England 15. In the 80s, as a district now officially part of Toastmasters, representatives were now able to participate in the World Contest of Public Speaking. And in 1983, we had our first finalist, Ray Fulham, who represented the Dublin Club and our district in the World Final in the US. He later went on to become a judge in the Irish courts. But greater success was just ahead. In 1985, in Columbus, Ohio, Mary Pine from the Ennis Club won the coveted title of World Championship of Public Speaking, the first and still the only Irish or district representative to do so. Her speech was entitled, Age is a Hang-Up on Numbers, and you can find the full text in Appendix 13 in the History section on the District 71 website. It's a clever, humorous, and thought-provoking speech, which I had the pleasure of hearing on one occasion when she spoke at a special Toastmasters event in UCD the following year. In winning, she became the only second overseas winner, meaning from outside North America, and only the second woman to do so. Growth in the 80s, as I said, while slow but steady, was gradually creeping closer to what was then seen as the magical figure of 50 clubs. But the district had its first success in the Distinguished District Awards in 84-85 with David Lindsay, and also with Joe Prendergast and Harry Knox in 87-88 in 1990. So it's worth noting that the number of clubs in Toastmasters in 1986 worldwide is recorded at 5,776, with a total membership of 1,961, just about a third of what it is today. So that brings us to the end of the 80s and the end of my first section, and we'll tell you more when I come back in this second section. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Ted. Really interesting speech. Great to hear of the history going back that far in Toastmasters, and to learn of the attitudes of the 50s and the 60s, both to women and others. And I got from something there at one stage, I think you said there was as many clubs in Ireland as there was in the UK, which maybe indicates
More
Irish
so.
people like to talk.
More so.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to now introduce our chat master for this session, and for all sessions, in fact, who's going to take the Q&A session for TED. So I'm going to introduce Anne Martin. Anne is also a founder member of EI Toastmasters and has had many roles and officer positions in this club. And she's currently our club secretary. So I'd like you to give a warm welcome to Anne Martin, please.
Thank you, Gerard, for that introduction. And thank you, Ted, for your speech. I have to say, I really thoroughly enjoyed listening to it there. And it's just amazing just to see the turnaround. It's just like a circle, you know, coming and going the whole time. And it's great to see that anytime it goes down, we're just ready to bounce back from it. So thank you for giving us that history. And can I just ask you one question? And I'm not sure, you were saying about that women could join in 1973. So were they two separate clubs? Was there a club for men and then a club for women? Or did I?
The club for women was founded by the wife of a Toastmaster way back in the 30s, and she called it Toastmasters International, but that never cottoned on here. But what happened in the Dublin club was that women joined the club, but they were never registered with Toastmasters International. And I actually met a lady called Eileen Murphy, who was there at the time. And she told me that's exactly what happened. They did everything. They were Toastmasters, they were this, they were that, but they were never members of Toastmasters International until after they got the letter there, the letter that arrived in 1972 giving an exception. And then the organization changed the constitution in 1973. But I understand that generally in the United States, around 1973, there was a rules to have equality between men and women everywhere. So it wasn't just us. Rotary had to do the same, even though it remained very much a masculine organization to this day, in fact.
So Ireland was leading there. We had the women in there before them. So that was one up for us. Thank you.
It was, but no thanks to the Scots who kept us out of their territorial council.
We didn't give up. That's the main thing. And I think going forward, we'll keep that spirit and keep the Toastmasters going for as long as we can. And hopefully there'll be somebody to take it on after us. Can I just ask you one question, Ted? When you were the international president, which clubs, did you visit, or was there any club in particular that maybe you might just like to tell us a little bit about?
Well, my year was spent visiting districts, at which I visited very few clubs. But I did visit one club very near to my heart, which was the club that was chartered in my year as the president. And that was the Killarney Club, where I come from. So it was, so they obviously got themselves organized and formed a new club and had it chartered in the year I was president. So my name is on their chapter. And I'm very proud of that. And they're going very strong since, and they're very successful. And I'm very proud of them.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's great.
Can I add just one small piece of information, that the number of clubs in Ireland, as I read out, exceeded that in Britain. And it wasn't until 2007, that's only the other day, when the number of clubs in Great Britain exceeded the number of clubs in Ireland. It was as recent as that. So next question, please.
Right. Okay, this is coming from Charles Eder. How long did Toastmasters stay as members on average? Has that gone up or down?
Well, I can't tell you about members, but I can tell you about payments, which is what we do twice a year. So we paid recently from the 1st of October to the 31st of March, and then we'll pay $45 again from the 1st of April to the 30th of September. From one 6-monthly period to the next 6-monthly period, 43% fall out. Now, whether they're long-time members or short-time members, I don't know, but I can tell you the figure is from the chief executive himself. So you can see why there's a big emphasis from Toastmasters to the clubs to recruit new members, because if we didn't recruit new members, we would not exist in a very short time. So, for example, I want to give you a figure from Rotary, because I'm a member of Rotary for a long time as well. And in 2007, I think it was, the district, which is all of Ireland, just like Toastmasters, had 2,500 members. Today, it has 1,700, because they're not as successful at recruiting people as we are. Because in Rotary, you join it to give something back. In Toastmasters, you join to get something, such as confidence and the ability to speak. So we have two different things going on. And we do not in Toastmasters have that much difficulty in recruiting members. And I hope the people who are listening tonight will consider joining. Next question.
Can you just give us the name again of the only Irish winner of the World Championships of Public Speaking, please?
Marie Pine, M-A-R-I-E, P-Y-N-E, Pine, from Ennis, County Clare. She was a singer in, what's that famous hotel that they sing in County Clare? Bunratty Castle.
Oh.
She was a singer there. It's a wonderful speech, so simple, so clever, so humorous. One of the best speeches I've seen. And she came up to UCD and she gave it to us, all of us who attended on the night, 1986. So she's the only winner from Ireland. But when I get on to the 90s, we had somebody who finished in second place. So that's not bad.
Thank you very much, Ted. I'm now going to hand it back to Gerard now, just to continue on with the next part of the meeting. And I have more questions for you later. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. And thank you, Ted. Lots of questions coming in. We're going to try and keep to time. And I'm now going to introduce our Postmaster for this first session. Our Postmaster is Lucy Clark. Lucy is, like Anne and myself, founder member of the Toastmasters, and she's currently our treasurer. So with a poem entitled, I Chose the Mountain by Howard Simon, please welcome Lucy Clark.
Thank you very much, Gerard. And thank you very much, Ted. It's been interesting hearing about all the challenges of starting up Toastmasters in Ireland. And the poem I've chosen has also been about challenges. It's called I Choose the Mountain by Howard Simon. The lowlands call, I am tempted to answer. They are offering me a free dwelling without having to conquer. The massive mountain makes its move, beckoning me to ascend, a much more difficult path to get up the slippery bend. I cannot choose both. I have a choice to make. I must be wise. This will determine my fate. I choose the mountain with all its stress and strain, because only by climbing can I rise above the plain. I choose the mountain and I will never stop climbing. I choose the mountain and I shall forever be ascending. I choose the mountain. And back to you now.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you very much. Some parallels between that poem and what I suppose Ted was talking about in the various aspects of the formation of Toastmasters and the development of Toastmasters International. So we're running quite well to time, and that's concluding session one of this point. So I'm going to now hand over to our second Toastmaster of the day, Gaia Cliento. And I'm just going to check, is Gaia ready to take on that?
Ready, steady, go.
Very good.
Thank you, Gerard. Thank you so much. So thank you, everybody. This is session 2, the present, the time of now, what's happening now. For who doesn't know me yet, my name is Gaia Cilento, and as you can clearly say from my accent, I'm not originally from Ireland. I'm from Italia. Yes. So, quick question. How many of you know somebody who has English as second language or has at least one friend with English as second language? Please raise your hands for me. Wow, for people on YouTube Live, I can see loads of hands here. Yes, yes, we are many people with English as second languages, but at the end of the day, we are all citizens of the world. We are all Apple, as my Greek fat big wedding. Yes, we are indeed. And this is what Toastmasters International is about citizen of the world, public speaking, international public speaking. But I understand your feeling, people with English as second language, public speaking in English. Brrr, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. I am. You don't only have to do public speaking, but you have to do in a second language. But this is what Toastmasters is about, to challenge yourself and to challenge your public speaking skills. Are you still not convinced? This is the present, and the present is virtual. We are all internationally virtual. How do you feel today? Do you want to be in Ireland? Let's connect in Zoom. Do you want to go in UK? Let's connect in Zoom. Oh, I feel I want to go to Milan this weekend, my home city. Let's connect to Zoom. And this is so good because you're gonna be connected worldwide, internationally, with people with different professions, managers, chefs, teachers, bosses. So here we go. Are you still not convinced? What if I tell you that I've been unemployed for the past few months and Toastmasters International helped me through this journey? I didn't not only gain lots of confidence in virtual public speaking, but I also motivated myself. I met so many nice people, amazing people, and improved my leadership skill style. Yes, I forgot to mention I'm an Area 22 director this year. If you want to know more, you can say after the meeting. By the way, are you still not convinced? Oh, what if I tell you that we are gonna have again one of the most inspirational men of the world, Ted Corcoran. But before I introduce you Ted, I would like to read something from his book. This is his book, ladies and gentlemen, and you can buy on his website. We are gonna share the link afterwards. Who is Ted? Ted grew up in the County Kerry, countryside in Ireland. He became ingrained in the culture of the area where most communication was face-to-face long before social media was even envisaged. Ted, are you ready?
I'm
Yes?
ready. Yes.
Ted, before you start, I would like to apologize for before. It might have been me that muted you. So really apologize for that. It won't happen again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my huge honor to give you the one and only Ted Corcoran. Ted, the stage is yours.
Thank you, dear Gaia. Thank you. Come stai?
Bene, bene, grazie Teodoro. Tu?
Grazie. Ciao. Now, to get to where we are today, we have to actually go through some decades to discover how that happened, because we are not where we are today for no reasons. We had lots of good things happening. So we come to the 90s, and what changed after 1990 to turn our steady but underperforming district into one of the top districts in the world for several years, a district much respected for its achievements? Well, first of all, there was a change in the district leadership structures. A division structure to coordinate the then 10 areas had been introduced on July the 1st, 1989, consisting of divisions A and C in Ireland with B in England. From 1983-84 onwards, the senior team had alternated annually between Ireland and England. Now, this management structure, though understandable from a cost, communication, and travel point of view, meant a complete absence of senior leaders for that year in the alternate country. In 1987-88, it was proposed and the District Council approved a split district executive to take effect from July the 1st, 1991. Then decisions by Toastmasters International presented an opportunity to introduce such an arrangement. The board decided that all districts from July 1991 would include a public relations officer on their district executive teams, and also in the case of District 71, approved a split executive between Ireland and England. And what that means is that every year we have 2 representatives in Ireland and 2 in Great Britain. So this year, Gerard Mannix is our district director, and Brenda Lannon is our club director. That's number 1 and 3. Number 2 is Daniel Saunders in England, and number 4 is Elizabeth. And then next year, everybody moves up and everything works extremely well, and everybody is happy with the situation. I had the honor of being the first public relations officer elected under this arrangement at the business meeting at the conference in Kinsale, County Cork in May 1991. At this conference, visiting International President Edward Bick presented the charter to the 50th club in the district, Dungarvan, number 2985. So in 1991, there were 50 clubs in these islands. And at the start of this year, when we combined District 71 and District 91, because 91 is in London, there are 391. It's quite amazing, the growth in that time. This split executive then came into being in 91-92, is still in place, and is one of the contributing reasons for our resounding success rate on the world stage. The second reason for our improvement in the 90s was very simply training. The board of directors decided that beginning in 1991, the top 3 officers in districts outside North America would be brought annually to the International Convention in the US for 2 days training at TI's expense. This was an extra hefty cost to TI as it involved 3 officers from the then 8 outside districts. This decision by TI exposed these officers to the wider world of Toastmasters. And certainly in my own case, when as the number 3 officer, I went to Las Vegas in 1992. I learned very quickly what successful districts did in order to be tops. One of the defining moments for me at this convention was a remark by another overseas district governor, Owen Hayden of District 74 in Southern Africa. Over a cup of coffee one day during training, he said, "You know, Ted, the problem in District 71 is that you have too many social clubs." I asked him what that meant. Well, he said, "You have a great time, you're all great fun, but you get very little done." Although at first it hurt a little to hear this, I realized it was only too true, as demonstrated by our slow club growth and low educational achievements. Later that week in my room in the Dunes Hotel, now the lake in front of Bellagio, if you ever go to Las Vegas, the Club Excellence Program was born. Brian O'Connor, DG, Norman Fox, and myself quickly agreed both the principle and the details of this new program. It was then ratified and introduced later that year at the Autumn Conference in Gatwick in October 1992. Simply, it explained it had 3 grades of achievement. The top or gold award had 9 goals, the second or silver had 8, and the third or bronze had just 6. The full program is set out in Appendix 1 on the district history. I could never have imagined the effect this program would have on the fortunes of our district. The clubs obviously liked its simple structure, its choice of goals, and above all, its measurement of quality standards. And this is the key part, rather than the district officers always demanding more and more new members, more educational achievements, these officers are now perceived as a resource to help the club achieve their goals. It was truly a win-win, excuse me, for club, area, division, and district alike. At June the 30th, 1993, after less than a year in place, club numbers had increased by 14%. Payments had increased by 19%, educational basic level by 108%, and advanced communication by 150%. Suddenly, almost overnight, as it were, District 71 climbed from nearly last in the world to number 6. We were a very proud team indeed to be present at the 1993 convention in Toronto and watch our District Governor Brian O'Connor seated at the very top of the top table, and later join him at the Hall of Fame to receive our President's Distinguished Award, Wardle number 6 from the International President Binny Bao. In the next few years, the district achieved Distinguished number 25, Present Distinguished number 2, Distinguished number 13, Present Distinguished number 6, and Select Distinguished number 7. President's Distinguished Award was at that time awarded to the top 6 districts, Select to districts 7 to 12, and Distinguished to all other districts who met the goals. Less than half of the districts worldwide achieved Distinguished or better any year. An amazing turnaround from last to first. Now, if you think there is something vaguely familiar about the principle of the Club Excellence Program, as I said, you are correct. As a result of District 71's amazing rise in the world rankings, TI showed a keen interest in our new program. In 1997, I sent it to International President Len Jury from New Zealand, and the board reconfigured and agreed it at the February 1998 board meeting and introduced it to the world from July 1, 1999 as the Distinguished Club Program. Yes, the DCP with which we are all so familiar. This has resulted in our district achieving between 70% and 80% distinguished or better clubs most years, when the world average is currently about 50%. This is an amazing statistic, and we can indeed be very proud of our collective achievements. While all that was happening at the club level, we also had some success in the World Contest of Public Speaking. Philip Campani, now a member of Society Toastmasters here in Dublin, featured in the 1993 World Final in 1993, and in 1995 in San Diego was placed second to the great Mark Brown, a recognized world-class speaker around the world ever since. I still remember a quotation from that speech by Philip, by William Henley. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the captain of my fate. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Wonderful speech indeed. Brendan Toll, a member of Glasnevin at the time, a club that I actually started myself, was a finalist in Miami in 2000, was unplaced. He's also a judge in the courts here in Dublin. So the judges seem to be going to Toastmasters. If they have to go to Toastmasters, then we all have to go to Toastmasters. Another notable award was for achieving the highest number of new clubs in 1994-95, when our district chartered 16 clubs and grew to 81, a 20% increase. Our achievements also paved the way for my election for a 2-year term as an international director in August 1996 at the convention in St. Louis, Missouri, representing all the Toastmasters outside North America. Assisted by many people from our district and outside it with a superb campaign manager in Brian O'Connor, now a member of Dunleary, I was declared the victor in a 3-way election against candidates from the Philippines and Australia. The board then consisted of 5 international officers plus 17 directors. All the directors except myself were from North America. So it was a pretty lonely place for me. You can well imagine. The reasons for our rise to the top, therefore, were threefold. The split executive, 2 and 2, training at international convention, and successfully transitioning from our own Club Excellence program to the new DCP. One could argue that the DCP transitioned from ours, but leave that aside. One must never forget either the contribution to this success by club members, club officers, and all the other members of the district team. The district, as I have often pointed out, is not just the senior officers, but every single member. When the district wins, we all win. When the district doesn't, we all are part of that. And now to the 2000s. Things got a lot better in the 2000s. A new computer system was implemented in late 2003 not without some pain for all concerned at a cost of over $2 million, which transformed interactions with Toastmasters and without doubt hugely contributed to the dramatic increase in numbers of members and clubs outside North America. The more efficient means for interacting with TI for paying dues, registering education completions, plus cheaper phone calls and travel was a major help in the district's success from 2000 onwards. From 2001, our district achieved the Distinguished District or Better Award every year for 12 consecutive years. What a magnificent achievement is that! 12 years in a row. No other district comes anywhere near it. Keep in mind that less than half the districts worldwide achieve Distinguished or Better any year, and perhaps 15 or so achieve it even 3 years in a row any year. The new millennium brought major changes for me personally in TI. I was elected as third vice president in Miami in August 2000, helped once more by very many people from over here, with Brian O'Connor once again as campaign manager. And past district governors Mike Silverman from London and Mary O'Connell from Middleton playing key roles. I went on to serve as international president for the 2003-04 year. This was the year that TI upgraded its computer system, as mentioned previously, which turned out to be a very stressful few months for the headquarters staff, international president, and board members alike. At the end of my presidency in 2004, TI had, for the first time in its history since its foundation in 1924, slightly exceeded 200,000 members in just over 10,000 clubs. As soon as the district reaches 200 clubs, TI begins to suggest that the district should start thinking of reforming. The reason for this is simple. Expecting volunteer leaders to manage a span of control extending over many areas and divisions is unrealistic, and when this spans 2 countries, even more so. And so at the district conference in Wexford in May 2014, District 71 was reformed into District 71 and 91. 91 is London and the Thames Valley, southern England, consisting of 174 clubs in 71 and 114 clubs in 91. On July 1st this year, the numbers were District 71, 212, District 91, 179. A growth rate of 38 clubs in our district, while D91 grew by 65, nearly double the rate. The result? District 91 achieved the Distinguished District or Better Award every year since 2014, while our district achieved it just once. So from 12 in a row to a single success, where do we go from here? As you've heard, our district has had its up and downs over the last 50 years, but our predecessors hung in there through thick and thin with notable success. Now, today, we, the current flag bearers, can ensure that Toastmasters in Ireland continues to thrive and lives up to the high organization-wide reputation so hard-earned. It won't be easy, but we can do it. In the next section, District Director Gerard will no doubt give us his thoughts on how to achieve it. I leave you with a quote from Thomas Jefferson, 3rd US President from 1801 to 1809, which I hope you will take away and cause you to be inspired. I like the dreams of the future better than the history of the past. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you so much. So we are gonna have a short break now, 5 minutes, 5 comfort break. So it's now 7:51. I want you all back at 7:56. Enjoy, guys. See you in 5 minutes. Thank you, Ted. Ted, have a glass of water because after the break it's gonna be question and answer.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. I'm okay. I see Seamus Gallagher's message. That's Seamus from down in Galway. Martin Farrell is on.
Yes, he is.
Do we need more to do more for retention of members? Oh, I'll get to that if I'm asked. And here Seamus telling us I was at his club's charter night on Friday, 26th of March, 2004. And I was the world president at the time. Well, that's nice of him. And Alan Tracy, who I haven't seen for a long time. And he said a fantastic, having the international chief executive attend the charter meeting for the second.
You're doing me out of a job, Ted.
That's okay. I didn't know they were for you. Sorry.
There are the question and answer afterwards. But Alan Tracy is waving at you.
No, that was more the nature of a comment than a question.
Yeah. It was the international president, actually. Adam.
It was, yeah.
And I was talking to him the other night.
Ted,
Ian Edwards.
No, it was the executive was there as well. Ted, the Irish guy.
Terry McCann. Terry McCann.
Yeah, Terry McCann.
Yeah, that was in October or so, 1995, and that closed down about 2002.
Yeah.
And Belfast restarted again a couple of years ago and is doing very well now, thankfully. But clubs come and go all the time. I mean, we internationally lose, I don't know, 700 or 800 a year. They come and go, as indeed members come and go. They come and they find what they're looking for and they leave. It's only the people like you, Alan, and Seamus, and other people who stay and pass on the knowledge to the incoming new people that cause us to survive, I think.
Basically, people who don't have a life.
Yeah, absolutely.
People.
Absolutely.
Or Ted, some of us are very slow learners.
Yeah. You have, yeah. But it's amazing when I look back and I see the changes that have happened over the years, and that in fact it was the Irish clubs that kept Toastmasters alive, because, as I said, the London clubs had gone down to 10, and which is very little, and we had grown to 20 over a couple of years, and we had more clubs in Ireland up to 2007. It was only then that the British clubs exceeded. Now, of course, they've expanded rapidly because of the easier communications. For the younger people, it's hard to imagine that you had to pay your subscription to the organization. You had to go to the bank and get a bank draft in dollars and post it off. And if you had to register an educational program, you had to post it or fax it when faxes came in. Can you imagine the world? That's only 20 years ago. It's even less, 2003, 2004, 17 years ago.
17. Ted, don't worry, you won't get rid of me. So for your happiness, I'm gonna be here with you.
Okay. Did you say, I didn't quite catch where you're from? Are you from Batusaland, is it?
Yes, I am from Batusaland.
Oh, Gaia.
I'm really sorry for before, Ted. I don't know what happened with the Zoom. So if
Don't worry.
Sorry. Scusami tanto, Ted. Yes.
Yeah, con affetto.
Jealousy is a terrible affliction, and the Italians suffer from it more than most.
Oh yeah. We are very passionate, guys, and it's 56, so we are back, guys. So I hope you are all back. So it's 7:56. We have still Ted Corcoran with us, and it's my great pleasure to introduce you our chat master for the day, directly from EI. Anne Martin, please, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Gaia, for a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. Now, have we still got Ted? We do.
Yes, I'm here.
Ted, you're back. You're back in the firing line. I had a question there. Will you answer the question I was going to ask you there? Well, I was just going to say what Seamus had said, so that's fine. I also have another question from Martin Farley, and he's saying, with the amount of members that leave should we be doing more to retain members? And if we are, how? Can you give us any tips on how we can do that, please?
Well, it's a question that's asked very often over many years. And really, there's only one way of keeping members, is giving them something that they want. Now, the clubs are given key performance indicators every year in managing the club, growing new members, being trained, and doing education. They're the key performance indicators. And the success of those is measured through the Distinguished Club Program. And when you consider that 50% of the clubs worldwide do not achieve that, what sort of service are those clubs providing to their members? I have been at clubs in America and in Canada, and I just can't believe how badly organized they were. I just can't. It's no club in Ireland could even contemplate being so badly run. I remember one in Los Angeles in a church hall where I was brought along as when I was a director, sat at the back, and 5 minutes after the meeting was due to start, the president walked in with a t-shirt and holes in the knees of his jeans and overweight, and he went up with a big bottle of water, about a whole 2-liter bottle. And so he put on the bottle. He said, "Well, what's the agenda tonight?" And somebody said, "Oh, tonight is contest night." "Oh, is it contest night? Have we any contestants?" "Okay, Jim, would you do one? Who'll be?" And this was thrown together, and I'm an international director sitting there listening to it. I said, "Oh my God, oh my God." So yes, so if we do not provide the quality of experience to new members, then they're likely to stay. They're likely not to stay. But it needs planning. I know a club, because I belong to it, that has a plan for this year, and it has a plan for next year. So not only are we going to get our 21st President Distinguished Award in row consecutively, but we have a plan in place for next year. Now, if somebody comes along and finds that they're part of the plan, they're much more inclined to stay. They're part of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
But if they feel unattached, something else will come along to excite them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for
Next
that,
question.
Ted. I had actually, somebody had, Helen Kelly had asked about, can you suggest how clubs in Scotland can increase its number of clubs?
Oh, well,
I don't know, is there anything?
Scotland is doing very well. They have a division up there in Scotland. They're doing extremely well. And it was a gentleman from Essex outside London who emigrated to Scotland, if I may say so, and started off the Glasgow club way back in, I don't know, middle 90s. That started the whole thing again. And they're going very well. They're absolutely going very well. And I'm delighted with that.
I have another question from Charles Eder. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. How many countries must a world president visit in his term?
Well, there's no must, but I certainly got through America, Canada, Germany, France, Malaysia, Australia, a whole lot of them. It depends. The districts in the world get a visit from the president probably every decade. So it's all known in advance which are the 10 or 12 that are coming next. Now, of course, with 122 districts, the officers, the president-elect shares in that, and the other people do as well. And now that we have Zoom, they don't travel at all. They just turn up. I understand that the international president, Richard Keck, was visiting the Hellfire Club here in Dublin the other night, Tuesday night. So it's set out, and then we just turn up. And we address the conference, and we try to motivate people.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I have another question from Gerard Fenner, and he wanted to know what happened in Vegas.
Well, what happens in Vegas has to stay in Vegas, and I can't be telling you that, right? But actually, I gave a speech in Vegas, and in fact, I'm doing a presentation there next Saturday. That's 2 days' time. But I was there 3 years ago at their conference, and the title of my speech was "What Happened in Vegas Didn't Stay in Vegas," which was a turn on the. So what happened was, it was my first visit to America, my first visit to training. And I met all these people from Australia and New Zealand and everywhere else outside North America, and they were hugely successful. We were dire as a district. We had 56 clubs, I remember, that year. In the whole of Britain and Ireland, 56 clubs. And they had committees for everything. Committees to retention, committees for this, committees for that. They had a chair of this, a chair of that. They could have actually started a furniture factory. And I was going to the Irish Management Institute at the time, doing a diploma in management. And we were actually studying management by objective. And I found out that management by objective is usually understood between two people, but it can actually be a group management by objective. So one day I'm waiting to go across from my cheap hotel, the Dunes, which, as I said, is now knocked down as a lake, to Bally's Hotel, which is a really big hotel on the opposite side of the road. I'm waiting for the traffic lights to change. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, came this idea. But if I could get the boys and girls, the men and women in the clubs to want to do it because they wanted to do it, and we would help them to get it done, then we could have a new resurrection, as it were. And we went from nearly last in 91, 92, to number 6 in the world, 92, 93, because the people who do the business in Toastmaster are the club officers and members, not the higher ups, but the people in the clubs. And that changed our district so much that I became very well known. And because I became very well known, I was elected international director. And because I was an international director, I got elected third vice president. So that particular one single idea like that changed my whole life. That's it.
That, Ted. Yeah, thank you. And then I just one quick last question, and then I think we'll move on to the next part. Toastmaster and Rotary collaborated. What are the benefits to both organizations? And that's from Helen Kelly.
Yes, that's a good question, and everybody's asking it. Well, for Toastmasters, we have some training materials that we can actually sell to Rotary. They're buying a lot of them. And we expect some people from Rotary to join our clubs around the world. Rotary people themselves then will be interested in learning how to speak in public. And can I tell you something that at most Mondays in my Rotary club, there is a speaker from outside Rotary and from outside Toastmasters. And 9 out of 10 of them are dire. They just dump 30 minutes of information on our heads without an opening, a body, or a conclusion, or a purpose, just information. And this is, because I say it in one of my presentations, there's an enormous difference between talking and communicating. And that's what Toastmasters teaches our members, and hopefully we can teach Rotarians to do the same. And they're very keen on the idea, and particularly the younger ones. And I'm glad to see it. Rotary was started in 1905 and has 1.2 million members and about 35,000 clubs around the world. We had last year nearly 400,000 and 17,000 clubs, although we've fallen back a bit now this year with the COVID. So we're about roughly a third to a quarter the size. We're all volunteers, of course, in both organizations. Rotary does a huge pile of good work. Today I signed a docket to give €9,000 to the Mark Pollock Trust. You've heard of Mark Pollock. He's trying to find a cure for paralysis because he's paralyzed. And we have a trust that people left money to, and I'm the chairman of it. And today it was 9,000 euro, which was not bad. And then, of course, when I get paid from Eileen for this, that's a couple of hundred into my pocket, and free parking down at the EI headquarters whenever I wanted, where I go shopping. So it's a win-win situation. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, Ted. I'm now going to hand back to Gaia. She's there, or else if Gavin
I'm
is there
here.
now.
I'm
Yeah,
here. I'm here,
Gaia,
Anne.
thank you.
No, don't
Thank you.
worry. I'm here. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Anne. And now it's the poet session. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to introduce you another member of EI, Sergeant at Arms, Akiko Sato. Akiko, are you there with us?
Yes,
Perfect.
fellow
So,
Toastmaster.
thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, with the title Winter Morning and the author Ojen Na, please welcome Akiko Sato.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Time flies. It's already the end of the year. It's winter. So I chose the poem for today is Winter Morning by Auden Nash. Winter is the king of snowmen, turning tree stumps into snowmen and houses into birthday cakes, and spreading sugar over lakes. Smooth and clean and frosty white, the world looks good enough to bite. That's the season to be young, catching snowflakes on your tongue. Snow is snowy when it is snowing. I'm sorry, it's slushy when it's going. Thank you.
Thank you, Akiko. Thank you so much. And now it's time to end the present session. And we are now going to the dun, 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 the future session. And let me introduce you the next Toastmasters of the session, our president, Gavin J. Gallagher. Gavin, please, the stage is yours. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Gaia. Guys, isn't Gaia fantastic? And also I'd like to say a big congratulations to Akiko for a lovely poem. And I have a huge respect for anyone who has to do public speaking in a language other than their mother tongue. So both of you are a real example to us all. Guys, in this session, we have a terrific opportunity to find out more about the future of Toastmasters from our very own District 71 Director, Mr. Gerard Mannix. Now, before I hand over to Gerard, this session that I'm currently talking about is actually, it was supposed to be Toastmastered by Eileen O'Neill, our colleague who is unable to make it today. And so just for those people who didn't hear my initial statement at the beginning, it was her idea, this entire thing. And we have a huge debt of gratitude to Eileen for pulling together such a great agenda and for asking Ted and Gerard to speak today. Eileen was going to give a brief reflection on her journey. And I said, what would you like me to say, Eileen? And she said, Gavin, it's over to you. So she didn't give me any hint as to what she would like to say. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of my own experience joining EI Toastmasters. And I joined EI in 2018. So it's just over 2 years ago. It was around about September. And I wasn't a complete stranger to public speaking, having delivered an impromptu best man speech about 20 years ago. And it's funny, I actually gave a humorous speech on that whole experience recently. And but funny enough, I left that best man speech 20 years ago feeling this elation having given this speech, but I never acted upon it. I had no kind of outlet beyond that speech. and it was a wedding, and that was it. And I didn't realize that, you know, people go off and turn and have careers in speaking and stuff. So I missed out on that opportunity, and 20 years passed and I didn't do any kind of public speaking at all. And then in my current job in East Point Business Park, where EI Toastmasters is based, I was asked to help promote an open day that EI Toastmasters was having. And so it was actually Gerard Fenner who approached me, and Gerard said, Gavin, can you help us put up a couple of posters and things like that? And I saw this and it twigged this kind of interest that I had from many years ago. And I said, you know what, I wouldn't mind actually joining, you know, is it open to members? And sure enough, it was open to anyone who worked in the park. It wasn't one of these closed corporate clubs. And so I went along, and I was that guy who would sit quietly in the room, taking it all in, not really participating, but enjoying listening in. And it was only when I was assigned a mentor, Miss Mary Martin, who encouraged me to get out of my shell and to go up and deliver an icebreaker. So I did deliver my icebreaker, and that was in April of last year, 2019. And what I call it, rather than an icebreaker, I call it a dam breaker, because as soon as I sort of got the taste of public speaking again, I wanted it more and more often. And so I basically became obsessed with speaking as frequently as possible. And since that icebreaker in April 2019, I've gone on, I've completed an entire pathway in Toastmasters. And I've actually spoke at conferences internationally in London and Helsinki. And so I put a huge amount of that progress down to my membership of Toastmasters. And I feel I owe a debt to Toastmasters for helping me sort of redirect my focus in this passion of mine. And I think it's just a fantastic organization. Anyone who's not a member, I would strongly recommend that you join, not just for public speaking, for confidence building and for leadership skills and all of the training that you get from it. And I, for one, am 100% certain that I'm going to be a member for life now. I'll always love the Toastmasters organization. I enjoy it so much. So anyway, enough about me. I think it's time that we heard from our current district director, Mr. Gerard Mannix. Gerard, over to you.
Thank you very, very much indeed, Gavin. Firstly, I'd like you to hear a reading that I'll do from Mr. James Allen, whom I've come across a couple of months ago. He was a motivational writer in the late 1900s. Sorry, in the late 19th century. It reads, "Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil." May I just say to the chatmaster, Anne, that I welcome suggestions or questions during my session. I have no problem with that, because we have just got under 68 heads here, just over 60 heads here. It would be great to get a feedback from them as to together of Toastmasters in Ireland. Fellow Toastmasters, we all very well know that the virus has been with us for this last 6 to 8 months. It had dearly affected the world globally, and not alone Ireland also. Interfamily, economics, and the normal work life has been affected. Needless to say, it has Toastmasters also. At this time, I want to admire your resilience to maintain meetings, contests, and training. Thank you. Some updates on the global virus status. It has already cost the United Kingdom more than each of the 2 world wars. One good news of aspect is that New Zealand is now COVID-free, and there isn't one club in New Zealand currently online. They're all in person, because I know that from somebody that was trying to establish a Zoom with them. Let's have a wee reflection on Ireland. It is very much noticed for its literature, writings, plays, and poetry. I might even name some of them: W.B. Yeats, Oscar Wilde, James Joyce, C.S. Lewis, John B. Keane, Brian McMahon, and Brendan Kennedy. The latter 3 were an inspiration and a dream for me. Because in 2019, I established this club in Listowel, County Kerry. Not alone did I establish alone, I had some help from other clubs in the location. It took 2 years to fulfill the objective, but indeed we have a flourishing club now. The inspiration came from me that there was a background there of incredible amount of literature, and I'm sure a lot of them never got a voice. So there I found the potential in a small town of 4,500 population. At any time you wish. May I now introduce you to some facts and figures, and I would like to do a screen share for that, please. Let us take a look at the current numbers and figures of Toastmasters currently. First of all, I've described here our total District 71 right up to yesterday. The member payments are 4,086. The number of clubs are 2,005. Then I went to focus on what Ireland is, and I'll just describe how we're maintaining member payments and numbers of clubs over the past 3 years. 2018 members were under 2,700. 2019, 2,800. Currently, 2,278. So we're roughly in a state of over 600 shy of what last year was. Then with regard to club numbers, we have 130, 133 and 136. I'll just get back to that other one where we have 136 clubs in Ireland, and there are 205 clubs in the whole district of Ireland and the part of the United Kingdom that we're affiliated with. Let's move on. The breakdown of our 136 clubs, we have 21 corporate clubs, of which we're a guest this evening of the EI Club. There is one online club after being created in the month of September, and then we have 114 community clubs. Let's take a look at the population of Ireland, and I mean Ireland total. What I mean in Ireland is Southern Ireland and Northern Ireland. All Ireland together is just under 7 million people. If we just take a look at our folks in the United Kingdom, if we combine the cities of Manchester, Liverpool and Birmingham, that's just under 7 million. So indeed, Ireland has given a great representation to Toastmasters. I'd like to go into some suggestions that I have thought out with regard to Toastmasters. My first port of call was go to Toastmasters International. And there I was helped by Margaret Page, who's the incoming international president, and our regional advisor at Johnson. Both of them sort of overlapped in the information they gave me. There is currently the formation of an interim document with regard to the future of Toastmasters globally. In August, there seemed to be a virtual lid put on that currently because of the COVID situation. They regard that we have a bright future in Toastmasters, where we can attend meetings in Ireland and globally. The quality of meetings around the world has improved. There are record numbers attending club officer training, district officer training, conference and conventions. For the future, celebrations of 50 years in women in Toastmasters, and very shortly 100 years of the foundation of Toastmasters. So that's what I searched and gleaned from Toastmasters International. Suggestions that I come up with, and I suppose I'm maybe a theorist or whatever, but I like to keep things simple and keep the basics always to the fore. On the basics, let's review, and I will speak the Toastmasters mission. We empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. And the Toastmasters International core values are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. At the beginning of our Toastmaster year, I formed the theme that would be publicized or re-energized throughout our district. And that was at as many meetings as possible. Part thereof of the Toastmasters Promise should be read. Reading and going through the area director reports of club visits, many of the clubs have read this Toastmaster Promise, which is a compliment to them. And also, not alone is the Toastmasters Promise beneficial to our Toastmaster life, it also is of help to our normal day life. The other suggestions I come through with are to improve the strategy of outreach in the youth leadership program and Speechcraft. My suggestion is investing in the youth is vital, vital, vital. Because in Ireland, we have the unique situation of students being in a transition year between the intermediate certificate, or the junior certificate, and the leaving certificate. They're 15, 16 years of age. I know that currently most schools would restrict it to an online performance or an online reception, but I know currently where speech and drama teachers are able to visit schools, so I don't see any hesitation why we can rethink the situation and reach out to the schools. Where youth is, and youth will be, and youth will grow up, we need them to be more versatile, to perform in their life as successful citizens. The other outreach can be through the Speechcrafts for new corporates and for groups. The challenge for this is the club leadership that's required to instigate and stimulate this. The second part is suitable club members available to perform it. But I think this is an energy that we don't utilize half enough in Toastmasters. The other aspect of the future, and it has been referred to by Ted, is that we have quality club meetings. One aspect of the evaluation of how a club is behaving is through the moments of truth. This I find in my years in the district leadership team, it can be a bit protracted and can take up almost the capacity of 2 meetings. But there is, and I brought it last year to our district officer training, where there's a 2-sheet A4 summary of the whole moments of truth. No matter what part of life we are in or what journey, we need to reflect on how things are going. The very same applies to a club, if a club wants to be honest with itself and produce quality. The things are what needs improvements. It is essential to have 20 members to have an effective club and a stimulating meeting. Are the members attending the meeting? Suggestions also, we have many weaker clubs currently because of lack of renewal of memberships. I would suggest that visiting members attend. Assignment of trained coaches, and these need to be trained coaches, and also know what is required. There should be incentives there for this particular aspect. And I've considered that Toastmasters International should give a reduced fee for dual memberships. Suggestions for improving the clubs and the mentors. We should have varied club themes, celebrate members' achievements and special events. Celebrate in a special way members who bring individuals to memberships. That's guests being recorded into membership. Create an online club, let's say, of hobbies such as knitting, cooking, many aspects of art, music, and storytelling. Online is a huge facility to break the monotony of being in isolation. Toastmasters can be a healthy companion in these times of part and full isolation. And finally, and important, make fun the priority. I'll just get out of my thing there. One aspect which has been mentioned a while ago is in this development in embryonic, it has gone beyond embryonic, it has become real, our relationship with Rotary. I have met the District Director of Rotary and of Ireland and of the United Kingdom. And also we have had a meeting with the Rotary directors and representatives from Ireland and from the United Kingdom who will spearhead introducing Toastmasters to Rotary and Rotary introducing themselves to Toastmasters. This will be developed and progressed in January. Fellow Toastmasters, I invite you to mature your dreams and share your communication and leadership skills, no matter how small. To you guests this evening, I sincerely recommend Toastmasters to you, and you will not regret it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gerard. Thank you. We're going to have anyone who has any questions for Gerard. I hope at this stage you've been putting them in the chat. Our chat master, Anne Martin, is going to pick up any answer or any questions that have come in the last few minutes.
Thank you, Gavin. Yes, I have one or two questions here for Gerard. Gerard, the first question, what is the biggest challenge as District Director do you find to you?
The challenge I find actually is the time and how online is tiring. You know, I'd say most of my days I have 3 meetings online, but at the same time, it makes my job to communicate. We have a weekly meeting of the district leadership team, and there can be plans or what would I say, outlining or discussions with each member, and we can spend a half an hour early in the morning being together. That's one of the great bonuses of the online situation. With regard to the challenging, I suppose the greatest challenge that we have this year is that we're currently over 6,000 payments to generate before the 30th of June, and we have 12 new clubs to charter. That's a high order, but we're going to challenge it.
Thank you. Colin from Colin McGlade. Do you foresee Ireland becoming a separate district on its own in the near future?
Thank you for your question, Colin. I have discussed this already with Toastmasters International, and we know that the population of Ireland is not substantial enough with regard to going into the future to have a standalone district in Ireland. It would be very nice. I don't mean to be selfish about it. I really dearly appreciate my colleagues in the UK and in Europe also with regard to our region. But where the next boundaries can be and could be, that's going to be a headache. It's not going to be mine, I think.
Thank you. I had a question there from Gaia about time management in the virtual world. Is there any?
Time management in the virtual world, I suppose, challenges us from some members who are spending 7.5 hours a day on the computer, and they are kind of computer exhausted by the time that they have their time out to come to a Toastmaster meeting. Some of the corporates are doing very, very well. One corporate that I visit quite regularly is Dell in Limerick, and they do 11 to 12 o'clock meeting, and they get through the meeting in 1 hour in a very, very great, efficient way, and it's always enjoyable. Then I've been to others, McAfee in Cork and VMware in Cork, and they do very well. I'm very, very dearly saddened that our Fexco company in Killaldrin and Kerry, which is a club that I was part of the finding of, and that is not meeting, and it will review its situation in January. That was a very effective club. It did very, very well last year.
I
suppose I'm answering that question. Okay, time management. I think time management is about the members. You know, I'm here for a year, so I'll give it my best. Eileen, Ted, by the way, Eileen is paying me a 4-figure sum. Yeah.
Shh, shh. I just a comment in now from Charles Barker. He said he's been listening and he hasn't heard any mention of pathways. So is there anything? Are we? I suppose
with regard to the sort of, in my job as district leader, I'm the kind of conductor of the orchestra. I knew every intimate part of how many pathways and the different education achievements were done last year, but we've done very, very well. There's a lot of people with over 7 education merits already this year, you know, Triple Crowns blowing itself out of the water. And that's quite good. I know that already we have 87 clubs potential to be distinguished with regard to numbers, etc. But as other people will know, it depends on how many goals they set, but there are quite a number of clubs with up to 5 and 7 goals already. They're just maybe 3 or 4, but you know, that aspect of it by tradition in our district has always been a healthy situation. It's the membership, the fall-off in membership and the current, what would I say, fast erosion of membership due to the COVID, where people are shy to come back online. Also with regard to clubs, we have been in the situation of losing 10 clubs this year, which haven't renewed, etc. So the pathways is a challenge for a lot of people. There are quite a number of people who have done the previous program and liked it very much and find the transition a challenge to them.
Okay. I have another question or comment here from Charles Eder. There are many events organised by clubs in Ireland all the time. Would there be a possibility to share these better?
Yes, that can be answered in the fact that we're updating or revamping our website. The website has been, what would I say, not desired to me for the last 3 years. This year we have put energy into it. There was a team working in it from July until about mid-October, and then I got somebody to actually help to design the website. I hope that that website will be down to clubs with events, areas with events, and division with events, and that they can feed into that, and that any person or members or clubs can share those events. I'm going at 8:30 to another event, which is Ipswich Toastmasters, and they're celebrating their 25th anniversary. So that, you know, news is available, but we don't have, what would I say, a simple readable platform and a platform available where people can go to this, put in what they want to, and take out from it the events that they would like to go.
Thank you, Gerard. I know you just said you have another event now to attend, so I think there is another 1 or 2 questions there. But
yeah. They'll wait for me.
Do you? I was just going to say, and if Gerard has to leave, what we can do is we've decided to keep the meeting open for about 30 minutes after the formal, because we do have a couple of other things on the agenda. Gerard, do you have to go, or can you say a few more minutes?
I can stay another 5 minutes if that's okay. Yeah. If that suits you, if you have a time scheduled to meet also, you know, I'm happy to.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're the man who the questions are directed at, and so if you have the time,
there are more
then
questions, now's the opportunity, or else Anne might hold them over and email them to me at a later time.
Yeah, right, well, we could do that too.
Let's do another 5 minutes, Anne. I'm looking at the clock here. It's 8:50. It's 8:35. So we'll go 5 more minutes with Gerard.
Thank you.
I have a question there from Sean Byrne. What are the most common questions you get asked about Toastmasters from non-members?
The most common question actually is, what is Toastmasters all about? You know, like they see my badge and my lapel. I remember going to meetings and stuff like that, and people said, "Oh my God, I love a badge like that." You know, like, what do you do to get one of those sort of badges? So then that badge leads to, that's a marketing tool, you know, because people will ask, what is it? Are you some sort of organization that might be healthy or unhealthy or whatever, and they'll find out. So then the word Toastmasters, I suppose, isn't the most ideal name for anything. They think about weddings, or they think about champagne, or they think about breakfast, or they think about all the other things with what it is, you know, like, and so I describing about the youth and the youth getting in, that's another marketing aspect that we can do in Toastmasters that will not cost an arm and a leg. It will be actual physical helping people to become communicators, leaders, and listeners.
There was a comment in there as well from Alan Tracy about how can we ensure and improve quality of honest assessment and feedback by area governors, mentors, and external input from senior experienced Toastmasters.
The first part of that question again, how we can expect
how can we ensure an
Yeah.
improved quality of honest assessment and
Improved
feedback?
I would think that the way any, what would I say, investigation of honesty would be commend, and recommend, you know, like that I'm sure, you know, to actually do an evaluation or a report back on anything. And if you don't give a good slice of the truth within it, you know, I think that is that's just kind of, we said, diluting the quality of what a member is in Toastmasters for. They will not learn from anything like that, and also reduces the quality of the meeting.
And I just, another comment is there that was in there about somebody not realizing about having a free pathways. Is that something that we can, you know, when you join, you get your free pathway. So I don't know if the people understand, you know, fully.
That's correct. That is for newly chartered clubs, as far as my head remembers, Anne. In that, if a club charters between, I think, to the 1st of October, right down on October, on the 1st of November, December, and January the 31st, there's no charge for the education part of it, and also the 125 charter administration fee has been dropped also. So that's an incentive for.
Oh, right. Oh, that's good. And I think, yeah, I think no, that might be it then. It's just one or two comments that have gone into the box.
If
So
anything,
I think, does anybody?
Yeah, if anybody comes back with anything that they have, or I'm available also to address anything that's needed.
Grand. Thank you very much, Gerard. Thank you.
Very well. It was a pleasure to be here.
Gerard,
thank you for the invitation. Thanks to Eileen for it. So I'll be expecting the check-in 2 or 3 days time.
Good man yourself. Thank you so much, Gerard. It's been a pleasure listening to you, and good luck now. You've got to go off to another club, busy man that you are.
That's okay.
I am going to just invite, we have a slight change to the agenda. We were going to have Greg Coyle giving us Poetmaster, but just before we do that, Emer O'Keefe from EI Toastmasters is going to read out some of the Toastmasters Promises that Gerard mentioned a short time ago.
Thank you, Gavin. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Whatever the future holds, one thing will always stand firm, and that is the noble statements of the Toastmasters Promise. As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education programme, to prepare for and fulfil meeting assignments, to provide fellow Toastmasters members with helpful, constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly atmosphere necessary for all members to learn and grow, to serve my club as officer when called upon to do so, to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy, to bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits of Toastmasters membership offers, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs, and to act within the Toastmasters core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmaster activities. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Emer. That's fantastic. Okay, and now we have Mr. Greg Coyle, another one of our members, and Greg is going to give the final poem of the evening, and it is a poem called Everything is Going to Be All Right, and it's from the late Belfast poet Derek McMahon. Over to you, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and can I compliment you on running a great meeting this evening.
Thank you.
Everything is going to be all right, Mahan. As the Toastmaster pointed out, he died in October. And in the poem, he questions us to reflect on why we should be worrying and that everything will be okay. How should I not be glad to contemplate the clouds clearing up and a high tide reflected on the ceiling? There will be dying, but there is no need to go into that. The poems flow from the hand unbidden, and the hidden source is the watchful heart. The sun rises in spite of everything, and the far cities are beautiful and bright. I lie here in a riot of sunshine, watching the daybreak and the clouds flying. Everything is going to be all right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. Lovely piece. Very poignant, given that he's just died recently. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the formal agenda for the evening. Some of our speakers have had other engagements to get onto, so I'd appreciate if you would all perhaps give them a quick round of applause, please. It's just great to have some accomplished speakers on with us tonight. Huge thanks to them. I'd also like to put a huge thanks out to my colleagues who've helped me put this thing together with Eileen tonight. It has been a big team game, and it certainly would not have happened without the diligence and hard work of every one of them. So special thanks to everybody for that, and in particular Eileen, who couldn't join us. Also special thanks to Moira O'Brien, who was our Zoom master tonight and streamed this over YouTube for us. So anyone who wants to catch up on the sections that they missed, you'll find the actual entire video of this meeting tonight over on the District 71 YouTube channel. And so anybody who had final questions or anything like that, we're going to keep the channel open and field any questions that you have. Obviously, Gerard Mannix has left at this stage, but we'll do our best to answer any questions. And of course, we're always interested to know if anybody would like to join our club. And we're all here to kind of help each other out. So I'm going to just close up that. So if you have any questions, please fire them into the chat there and we'll start dealing with them. But if you have to leave or if you've got another agenda to get on with, then by all means, that is the end of the formal agenda. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Gavin. I'm hoping, I think I did miss one or two questions along the way, but I've kept a note of them and we can get back to people with answers if there's any that need them. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. If anyone has any last minute questions, I see a few people here just making comments, and that's great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Seamus. Thank you to Alan. And guys, if you would like to join us, if we have, we've set up a meetup group, and anyone who's unfamiliar with that, website. I'm hearing myself repeating back. It's a website or an app on the phone. And on that is, we will post the latest events that we're going to be holding. And so you're all more than welcome to join us as a guest sometime. So just click on, find us, EI Toastmasters group. You'll find it in the meetup.com website or app. And when you're in there, you can find the dates of our next meetings, and you can kind of join on that. And I'll make sure that you get an agenda and a link for the Zoom call. Obviously, this will continue for as long as we're in this virtual world. And then I think we all kind of look forward to a day when we're getting back to face-to-face meetings. But there is some benefits to these virtual meetings, because we're all meeting people that we've never met before. So you're all more than welcome to join us anytime. And I think that goes for pretty much any club out there. From anyone I've spoken to, I see Martin here and Emily here, and there's various people from other clubs. And I know they'd all be delighted for us to kind of jump in and jump out of different meetings at times. And it's always good to get a different perspective.
And Gavin, I guess I'd say we're part, a lot of some of the idea of this was to let people know that EI Toastmasters is operating and in existence and looking for new members. We currently have 16 paid up members, and as Gerard said, 20 is a minimum target. So we're actively recruiting for members ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, it's what I mentioned at the beginning of this evening, that we're going through kind of a difficult time with 2020. We actually started the year with about twice that number. And we have seen the membership just drop off. And it's not from a lack of interest. The people that we've actually lost were very engaged members. And they were members that were, always enjoying the meetings, participating, entering into taking on roles as functionaries and things like that. And so what's interesting is to see them dropping off, because you always expect a certain attrition from people that aren't turning up and things like that, but you don't expect the active members to be the ones that are dropping out. And it was just a consequence of when they went to working online and things like that. Suddenly they're working from home, they're facing Zoom meetings from morning till night. And the idea of spending your lunchtime at another Zoom meeting or the evening at another Zoom meeting is just not that attractive to many of them. And also with children at home and things like that, there's co-parenting, and there's people saying, okay, you work in the morning, I'll work in the afternoon. And that has drifted in and caused some challenges as well. Just to follow up on Gerard's comments, our club meets every second Thursday, and we meet for 1 hour from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. So it's easy to get in and out for your lunch. But if you're all zoomed out, then I can appreciate maybe you don't want to do that. I see a comment there, or somebody's got the hand up, Paul O'Mahony.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm the division director in Cork, and it's certainly very good experience to come along this evening and to see some of your members and to be here. I wanted to ask you a question about why you've lost so many members. And I hear that you meet for an hour twice a month. And an hour twice a month isn't a lot in my head for somebody who has a goal, has a purpose, is aiming to become a better communicator and leader. So 2 hours a month. Now, I wonder, are you really sure that the reason you lost so many members is because of COVID and Zoom and all that? If I was to, and I'm asking this as much because I have very similar situation in Cork in relation to loss of members, which has been terrible, awful. We lost a third of our members in our district, in our division. But to me, I don't find it satisfactory to explain it all as a result of Zoom fatigue. 2 hours a month is not a lot. So I'm beginning to wonder, and have wondered for a long time, whether it is possible that some clubs, and I'm not talking about EI now, effectively neglected their members during the COVID and didn't phone them up and speak to them on the telephone and ask them how they were, and just relied upon digital communication. And EI, for example, is a very digital organization. I mean, it's a technologically sophisticated, at least I hope it is, but it's an internationally oriented organization, and I hope it is. So the sense I'm getting is the same sense as I'm getting in some other clubs that I try to help, which is that there is a hankering over going back to the old days. And I myself personally, and I just speak for myself, would be horrified to go back to the old days. I dread what Toastmasters International will be like when all the clubs are back meeting face to face and we don't have online meetings. I personally, it would be a terrible blow. But I just wanted to put it to you that how are you guys really satisfied with the explanation for why you've lost so many members?
Thanks, Paul. It's a good question. I mean, we've gone through some of the self-reflection ourselves. As a committee, we meet regularly to talk about this. The reason that we believe it's COVID related is because we've been having 1-hour meetings twice a month for many years now, and our membership was always consistently higher than it has been. And then suddenly we lost all of these members. And these, as I mentioned, these were active members who turned up at meetings, who took roles as functionaries, who were actually intending. I'll give you a good example. Our Vice President of Education, he was turning up, he's very active, and he was always at every single meeting. And as a result of COVID, their business basically made him redundant. And when he was made redundant, he's now in a situation where he's out there looking for work. Because of that, he's committed to the club, but he just does not have the time to actually devote to the hour a day. He doesn't know up until literally 2 or 3 minutes before the meeting begins whether he's going to be available or whether he needs to make himself available for a job interview or anything. And if you look at the numbers of people that have actually been made unemployed, or numbers of people that had, children at home over the summer period, over the lockdown period, that is one of the reasons I think that it has thrown a lot of people's lives kind of into disarray. And there's a certain amount of that. But I do take on board what you say. I think it is, a good point to reflect on it. I'm not sure, Gerard, being our VP of membership, do you have anything to add to that?
I'd like to come in there if I could also.
Greg,
okay, Greg, go ahead.
I think Paul challenges us there. He's provoking us to think about the marketing and the PR aspects of Toastmasters, and that ultimately it's a club of people, and that we all are friends and we get to know each other through our talks and our speeches, and therefore we ought to be more able to pick up the phone and talk to people and make that contact, that personal contact, I feel is very important. And I do think that if you did that more, we would get back a lot of those people who probably just faded away rather than left. And also there's a marketing element in that. If Toastmasters now is predominantly on Zoom, most of the world and business activity is also on Zoom. So Toastmasters is a great way of learning how to do Zoom talking better. So they're my points.
I see.
Could I just say something as well to Paul, that we have we mentor members as well in the club. So each, of us on the committee, we all have so many, members in the club that we look after individually as well. So we would, touch base and keep touch, in touch with people. So we, you try everything, but it just, for some people, they're just physically not able, to attend the meetings, which it's a pity, like, to have lost so many people, but we do mentor them, and therefore we do keep in touch, you know, on an individual level with, you know, 3 or 4 members each.
And one other thing we're
Yes,
conscious of.
Just
one thing I want to say, we're conscious of as well. It's very, very useful points there, Paul. We have always been a 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. club. We're looking at, going to survey the membership to see, do they want to change from that? 1 to 2 p.m. suits some of us. It maybe doesn't suit others of us. So we're thinking about when we meet, and yes, maybe we need to think about how long we meet as well. So very good points.
The thing is, I've heard so many Toastmasters in so many clubs be satisfied with an answer without having done some basic research. Like, for example, I don't know any clubs that do exit interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's what you do in business if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Exit interviews. The notion that somebody, let's just be real, guys, the notion that somebody will give up going to 2 hours in a month, it doesn't make sense to me. To me, it's a bit like, well, they really didn't care in the first place. They certainly didn't have a personal development plan which involved them in aiming to improve specific communication skills. It may have been a sort of nice social thing to meet up with the others, but nobody who has a serious interest in becoming a better communicator gives up going to 2 hours a month. They just don't.
Charles,
tell me I'm wrong.
You want to come in here?
Oh, thank you, Gavin. And again, I'm coming from another corporate club where, thanks to Greg, thanks to Gavin, thanks to a few others, we are surviving, even though there's 3,000 people on our campus, or 2,500. We've dropped tremendously. And Paul, just to understand, it has taken IBMers 6 months to understand how they organize their time, or what time they have. It's taken them 6 months to get used to working from home, working in very different conditions. And in any corporate environment, you would want meetings to last only 1 hour, because usually most corporates, we go from meeting to meeting all day, either with clients or with other colleagues, and we only have lunchtime or after work. So this 1 hour might seem short to you, but it's very intense. And why would people suddenly give up or suddenly stop? It's because they're faced with so many other challenges in terms of getting organized again. We've seen very recently, the very last meeting, we suddenly had new IBMers, some that have been interested in Toastmasters a few years ago, come and want to join the club. But it's taken them all this time to understand if they can afford it time-wise and with all the other activities that they have to do. So you're comparing pears and apples. This has nothing to do with personal development. It has to do with a very different kind of world we live in. Some people like it online. Some people prefer the meetings, the physical meetings. And there's a lot of things to take into account. But the drop would seem very natural in any situation. Brexit is going to mean a lot of changes in the UK at first, but once people get used to it, things will probably pick up again. Same thing that we're facing here with Toastmasters. Thanks, Gavin. So I just wanted to share that.
If anyone else has any questions, you can raise your hand. But apart from that, I think we're going to close the meeting. It's now 9 o'clock. So I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Thanks for your contribution, Paul. It is time for some self-reflection here, and we'll certainly take on board your points. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We've got 29 left on the call. I see Brenda there. Thanks for joining us, Brenda. And guys, I'm going to close it out. I wish you all a good evening, and hope to see you all sometime soon. And don't forget to send us a mail if you'd like to join us, our club, or join one of our meetings as a guest. So until next time, catch you all soon.
Bye, Gavin.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you,
everybody.
Gavin. You were
Bye,
very
thank you.
good.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, Greg.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Bye,
You're
everyone.
welcome,
Thanks, Paul.